Hello, Chlorophyll's the name, Sims is the game. Let's get to it. So, I have done another speed build. But the thing with this speed build is it's a little different. It's a modern home, which I sometimes do, but usually I do suburban homes. But this one, I was more focused on decoration than on function. I wanted to build something that was pretty rather than functional because I get so caught up with function. Like, can a sim walk there? Is this gonna work? Is this gonna be fun to play a family in? Which is nice, but it doesn't always turn out looking super unique. So that's why I wanted to focus on function this time. And I used to be really focused on function, or not function, decoration. I wanted to focus on decoration this time. I'm sorry. This is like my fourth time recording this. My mic keeps turning off on me. It's really scrambling my brain. So if I reference things I haven't said, that's because I've done this 4 times. Anyway, I wanted to focus on decoration this time because usually I focus on function. And I used to be really focused on decoration, like in The Sims 2 especially, and a little bit in The Sims 3. Like I would go through and I'd have a sim go into the house and make food to set the table because when I was younger, and probably the reason why I build so much, is my parents took me to a lot of those model show homes. Um, when they were building a new neighborhood, there would be those like fancy homes that would show off what the house would look like while lived in, and they'd have the table set with plates and sometimes even fake food. Sometimes they'd have cookies, which was nice. Um, but they'd have the table set and like toys scattered around, and so I wanted to do that. And so I'd move Sims into my house to set the table and all that. But then I kind of stopped in The Sims 4 and later on in The Sims 3 because I was a lot more interested in having the Sims live in the house, and decorating like that doesn't work so well. Like setting the table is kind of harmless, but then you get to excuse me, you get to other parts of the decoration like making it look lived in and putting toys all over the place and you know whatever else, and it doesn't work as well. Like your Sims will clean it up, which is kind of sad considering how much work you put into getting the stuff there. So I stopped doing it, and I wish I didn't because it was cool. And I did have a good time living in those houses, but they didn't, they weren't these super unique, super fancy builds, and they didn't really ring like the homes I'd see when I was doing model homes. Sorry if I'm losing my train of thought. Someone's moving around upstairs. Anyway, I was painting the house here, and I wanted to use that stone, but the stone has the lower trim on it, and so I didn't I didn't like it on multiple stories like that because there's just this unnecessary break. So I instead use a lot of this wood tone, or wood tone, I guess it's wood toned, but it's wood texture. And I do end up using some stone, but it's I actually use a lot of stone. I put it all over the lower level, like the entire first level is stone instead of the white. I go through so many of the white textures, and I end up just going with the paint because I figured, I was going to put the stone in and I already had the wood in, and I didn't need a third texture necessarily. I felt like I was getting kind of busy, so I just went with the plain white. And then here I am putting the stone in. I end up putting it just all over the first floor and doing a break because I thought the white looked really weird, I guess, on 2 levels. Like, it didn't look bad, but I felt like it needed some more texture, I guess, throughout the house. So the white's really only on the second floor, which I think is fine. Anyway, we're on to the inside, and you're gonna see the decoration I do. I think I do some really cool things. There's a few rooms that I really end up liking, but we'll get there. This house, it has 2 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms, which I think is pretty good for this house. Like usually in a house this size, I'd only do 1 bedroom, but I felt like this house needed more than 1 bedroom because while it's nice only having 1 bedroom, a lot of times when I'm playing, like I'll have my sim and my sim will have kids, and then I'll have to move out of the house, and it's, moving in The Sims isn't that bad, but it's also, I'd prefer to just live in the one house and upgrade the house as it goes on, or already have the house ready to go. So there's that. Anyway, I'm struggling with this floor plan upstairs. I think I just figured it out. Because I wanted to fit in, a bigger bedroom and then a bathroom, and it just wasn't working because I wanted the hallway upstairs to be a decent size as well. But eventually I figured it out, so that's good. And yeah, I think we're almost to the furnishing. Oh, I gotta paint the walls first. That's right. Paint the walls white. Some of the walls get accents. I kind of just carry over the outside wood tones and the stone into the inside. You'll see me do that later. And I'm putting lights all over the place so I can actually see, but I end up making some of it too bright because then the walls glow, which is kind of blinding. So that's good. I got rid of some. Now I'm painting some walls so it's not just, straight white all over the place. And I end up painting a few more, but for now this is what we do. And now I think we're finally onto the furnishing. Yes. Okay, so I started off with those black counters, and I didn't like them because they blended in with the floors. So I started to switch to the white, but then the white blended in with the walls too much. So I actually go with the Cool Kitchen ones that I use against the wall there, because I thought they were, like, the white wasn't too bright, but then also the countertops weren't white, which was nice. And so the kitchen just ends up being like the cabinets are white and the countertops are brown, and then the appliances end up being black. And I think it just matches the rest of the house quite nicely. Then I don't know, I'm really excited because of the stuff I do. I think I found some really cool things. Anyway, getting all that done, and I think this is where the interesting stuff starts. Yeah, so this tree, I sized it down and I put it on the counter because I thought the little pop of green was nice, and the planter box really matched the rest of the stuff. Putting in the necessities, fire alarm and all that. Anyway, I'm just kind of looking through the decoration menu because I usually don't pay that much attention to it, and so now I'm finding all this stuff that's cool. And here in a second, you'll see me. I get distracted. Anyway, you'll see me put these guys in right here, and I put them over, like I kind of divide the island from the rest of the room there. But the issue is they're kind of sticking through the floor up top, so I have to keep moving them down a little bit, which is what I'm doing now. But in the end, I think it's kind of a cool feature because, it just kind of breaks up the room and adds some pattern to it. I was going to do a similar thing on the other side, but then I decided that'd cut it up too much and kind of make the island kind of claustrophobic, so I didn't. Now we are on to the dining table, which I originally was going to put over here, but then I put over this side. And I have an idea, and you'll see me have the idea right about now as I'm sizing that table up and down. And that idea is to use that table as a bench, because I always love those dining tables that have benches. Like, I think they look cool. I couldn't figure out what size to make the bench, but I think they look cool because, I don't know, it just adds variety because you expect there to just be a bunch of chairs, but then there's a bench. And, The Sims obviously can't sit on the bench, but the bench is there. Although, I don't know, thinking about it, having a bench in real life would kind of suck because then you'd actually have to sit up and you couldn't lean back. And I mean, I guess it'd be good for your posture in some ways. I don't know. Do any of you have a bench in your dining room? I haven't actually seen one in real life. I just think they're cool. Like when I see them on the TV and stuff. I watch so many of those home improvement, fixer-upper type shows, and they're cool. I like them. Oh, another place my love of building probably came from. I watched so much Extreme Makeover Home Edition, and I was always like drooling over those houses that they ended up with in the end. And I miss that show. It was a good show. But anyway, I'm working on the shelf. I really just wanted to decorate the shelf, but I was also worried about over decorating the shelf. So, you know, I'm just looking through the catalog trying to find things that make sense. I was going to put the wine up there, but I don't know. I think the wine's kind of weirdly set up. I wish there was another like wine holder because the honeycomb pattern is kind of cool, but also I don't know. It's kind of weird. I put that painting there to make it look like it's leaning on the shelf or leaning against the wall and sitting on the shelf. And I get those books. Those books are good. Those are good books. I wish they had more color patterns. And then I think the last thing I put on that shelf is like a train. Yeah, I put that train up there. My foot's going numb. Hang on. There we go. I keep sitting cross-legged and then my foot goes numb, and it's not good. Anyway, I felt like that corner was kind of empty, so I put a chair in it, and I put a lamp in it, and I put a plant in it. And then it's not empty, which is nice. But it was kind of a lot to fit in that corner, so I wonder if I should have like taken the chair out and only done the lamp and the plant. But, you know, it is what it is. Then I put a painting on that wall, and I put a plant in the other corner. And yeah. So, I'm gonna diverge here. This is my first time playing Sims in a while, actually, because the issue is I live at college and I have a roommate, so I can't really do too much while I'm there. Like, I can't narrate, which, like, building like this is fine, but also I don't want to do too many builds and get too behind on narration because then I'll get overwhelmed. So I built this when I realized I was going to come home again, because I do my narration at home when I go back to my parents' house from my dorm, because then I don't have to worry about my roommate thinking I'm crazy, because she already thinks I'm crazy. Anyway, so yeah, on the channel you've probably seen a lot of Banished videos. That's because I recorded a lot of Banished videos over spring break to try to tide me over until I could come back home. And so that's why there's been so many and why there's been so few Sims videos. I feel kind of bad that there were so many Banished videos. Like, I like Banished, but Sims is also really fun, and I prefer to watch Sims over Banished, so I assume most people are like me because that's how I am. So, you know, but there's that. And we're back to doing Sims. I'm hoping to do more like full speed builds rather than just those really short build challenges because while the build challenges are fun, they don't actually end up being that unique or that interesting. They're just kind of over quickly, which makes it really easy to record a lot of them when I'm trying to stockpile episodes like I do while I'm home. But also, I don't know, they like a lot of them start looking similar. Like I did like the second video on my channel is like a 10-minute house build, and then I do a 5-minute house build that's 2 stories. Like that 10-minute one, and they're essentially the same house. Like they look almost identical. At least the thumbnails do, which is kind of awkward. So, you know, with my build starting to look kind of similar, I think if I build larger, you know, larger houses, then there'll be less chances for them to look super similar. So there's that. But doing these larger builds is more difficult because I have to narrate over them and I have to build them. And it might not be the smartest thing, but I build the entire house in one sitting. Like I refuse to take breaks because I'm always worried that if I take a break, I'm not going to come back and I'm going to have wasted the time I took to build the first part of the house and then just not come back and do the second part of the house, which makes it really difficult to build mansions. I've done it before, but sitting and playing Sims for like 5 hours is not a good way to live. So I wouldn't recommend it. And sometimes I do come back and I do finish builds, and I've actually had some really cool builds that I've done that with, and I've just come back over and over again. But I have to be really, really excited about them. And a lot of times, like, I do like building. I definitely like building. But to get that excited about a build that I'm going to come back to is difficult. Because if it's that big of a build, then it's a really big build and it's kind of daunting. So, you know, I just don't want to come back to it, I guess. Anyway, we finished the living room. It was kind of a cramped living room, but again, I didn't really want to build a super big house, so that's why it's kind of a small living room. And then I put this easel in over here. You know, I don't know about you, but essentially every sim I play ends up having the painting skill and ends up making a lot of money through painting, which is kind of strange, but that's how I play. And admittedly, I don't do that many like playing with Sims in the game. Like I don't have a lot of families. I I don't know, the way I tend to play when I do play, because I mostly build, but when I play, I make one sim, I spend forever making that one sim, forever, thinking about what they're going to be, how their life's going to be, you know, what their flaws are going to be. I feel like my sims need flaws. And then I play them for like 4 months, and then that's the only sim I played that year. So I don't play that often, which, you know, I build plenty often. I just don't play in game with families that often. And I keep saying, it was like last time I did a recording. Anyway, what was I saying? My sim has a family eventually, and the goal is always to move on to the next generation. But I play on long lifespans, and then I also turn off aging until I actually want my sim to start aging. So by the time I turn on these long lifespans, my sim's already completed most of the aspirations, and so when I get to the next sim that I should play, like when their children become young adults, and I want to move on to play them, I've kind of already done all the aspirations in the game, and so doing them all again seems kind of like it just doesn't seem worthwhile, so that's usually when I stop playing my families. And then, time passes and eventually I make another sim and, new expansions come out and I can I can start over again. So there's that. But yeah, this bedroom I was really happy with. I love the peachy pink color. And then I use this desk. I was really excited about the update. And I use that desk and I used the laptop because again I was really excited about the update. And I put it on an angle because I didn't want to put it like right against the wall because then you'd end up like kicking a window. And I didn't want to block the window entirely with the desk because I obviously do still block the window, but it's not the sort of thing where you'd be kicking the window because I know I kicked the wall on the other side of my desk so much. But if it was a window, I'd feel bad about it. So that's why I set the desk at an angle like that, and I thought it looked kind of nice. So there's that. We're almost done with this room here. Just put the little radio there, and then we move on. That wall needed something, so I put something there. And then that corner needed something, so I put a plant there. And this wall needed something, so I find a picture. I thought that one was pretty cool. And now we're on to the master bedroom. And in the master bedroom, I really like this bed. I really like the stripes on it and the color. And I really like gray. Like, gray is the best. Anyway, but the issue with this bed is that its headboard is really unimpressive. So I actually put something behind it, as you can see, to make it seem a little bit more sturdy, I guess. I don't know, I thought it looked better that way. Now I'm going around, put a mirror in over there, and I put a dresser in, painting, or I guess more of a poster, and that little basket, because I thought it was a good detail. And I was trying to find a rug that matched, and I was having a hard time. I thought that one matched, but then, I don't know, it's really not modern. And what I do is I use this Parenthood rug, because while it's not blue, it has the stripes, kind of like the pillows, and it's also gray and white, like some of the bed. So I thought it was cool. This is fun. So the seasons mirror sits so high up on the wall, and so I put it downstairs so that I could put it lower on the wall. I wish there was an option to lower stuff, like you can raise stuff, but there's not. Which, I mean, there's not really that many situations where you need to. Mirrors are one of the few, but it'd be nice to have the option. I'm sure something cool would come of it, like, being able to lower mirrors. But, that's life. I'm finishing out the master bathroom here, which I think turns out pretty good. I really wish they'd add more towels into the game, because I feel like there's the really fancy towels and they all have the gold bars on them, like the gold towel racks. which doesn't match a lot of the time. And then there's like the cheap towels, which don't match either. I just wish they'd add more like modern towel racks, but there aren't really any, so there's that. But it's a weird thing to ask for. Anyway, for this backyard, I actually leave one side open to the fountains. I figure, it's a good view, so why block it with the giant fence? It does kind of impede on privacy, and I figure people would be walking around over there, but it's fine. There's a lot of houses kind of like that in my neighborhood. My neighborhood's nothing like this. It's more so that they open up to like a park or like a green open space sort of thing. And it's really cool, but also they don't have that much privacy, which, it's a trade-off. I mean, it just kind of makes the backyard look bigger instead of having it all walled in, which is nice. Anyway, I put it in a fire pit because fire pits are fun. You can go outside, make s'mores, and I don't know, s'mores are the best. I burn my marshmallows to a crisp, so that's why I need a fire pit instead of just a microwave. Because microwave s'mores, you can't burn your marshmallows to a crisp. That's dangerous. Anyway, I put the grill in there, and now I'm finally on to landscaping. Usually I do it earlier on, but this time I didn't. And I honestly don't do that much. There's a few trees around the place, and then there's these flowers, but then there's really nothing else. But I don't think there really needs to be that much else. So that's that. I'm just going around making sure everything's detailed enough, and I didn't want to forget the mailbox. I forgotten the mailbox before, like on Bayside, I forgot the mailbox, and I had to add it in afterwards, and I was like, oof. Anyway, you saw me put the stones in between those concrete slabs, and I figured the slabs are kind of far apart, and if it got all wet or like rained or something, you wouldn't have to walk on the grass. You could walk on the stones instead. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm adding in some lights, making sure everything's nice and bright. I thought it looked better to wall off the green like that. And yeah, that's it. I built a house. It happens sometimes. You're going to see the screenshots. Lots of screenshots. There are a few places where I'm like, that probably could have been a bit more detailed. Like, there probably could have been a painting or wall decoration above the couch of some sort, but I wasn't really looking there because I had the walls arranged in a strange way. But for the first time really focusing on detailing again, I think it turned out really well. There are a lot more details than I would originally think, which, yeah, the video's ending. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Leave a like, remember to subscribe, and go get some sunshine. I'll see you next time.